Hey, good afternoon, everybody. For those that I don't have the pleasure of knowing, my name is Zach Posner. I am a co-founder and managing partner at the LegalTech Fund. We are beyond thrilled to have one of our portfolio companies, entrepreneurs with us here today, Gabriel. Gabriel, thanks for coming on and spending a few minutes with us.
Zach, thank you so much for having me.
This is awesome. I get to see you 2 weeks in a row.
You were running around last week was awesome. Congratulations. It was the place to be.
Thank you. No such thing as self-promotion as I drink out of my Summit mug. So, look, excited to chat for a few minutes. What we are usually focusing on is interesting characteristics. We like to start by saying interesting characteristics about you. Would love to get a little insight on things that people wouldn't otherwise know about you. Yeah, would love to start there if you got anything that jumps out at you.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, my professional journey has been unique, nonlinear to say the least. So I actually started off with an art degree. So I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in photography. Thought I was going to be a commercial photographer coming out of college. Did not go that route, but really fantastic experience learning design principles. I'd actually encourage, I think entrepreneurial domain and art have a massive amount of crossover from kind of like a design thinking perspective. So really, that was really cool. And then spent a decade after that running nonprofit finance operations and fundraising, moved into law, and now I'm in technology. So I tell most people I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but I imagine that I'll figure it out one day.
As are the most interesting people that I've come across don't know what they want to be when they grow up. I guess if you weren't working in legal tech, because you've done a couple things, where do you think you'd be right now?
Building something. Look, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an inventor. And I think that's the through line for so much of what I've done my whole life is create things, invent things, build things. A nonprofit that I worked at, we were scaling and growing, and the law firm, the same thing. And I've got a million ideas of other things. If I weren't doing this, I would be building something else right now. Might be a
That's
house.
my question. What would you rebuild, or what are you doing in your free time, or what would you?
I'm remodeling and expanding a house right now. So that's like my weekends with the kids. I'm on a tractor or got a chainsaw in my hand or a hammer, and that's basically it. Bounce between those two things.
That works. We were on, I don't know if you've come across Dan O'Day, the CEO of ECFX. We were having a conversation like this, and he said he went down the path for like a year of building the biggest water slide you could imagine in your backyard. And I forgot the dimensions, but it was something that he had to like physically deal with when he moved because it was so big.
Amazing.
I guess on that note, we've had a couple of these sessions over the past couple of months where you may be, I think you're the last one of the year. As 24 has wrapped up, any personal, professional thing, anything you're really proud of that you kind of think of as you look back on this year?
Man, it's been a whirlwind. I think I've flown more this year than I ever expected to. I've done 30 conferences, so yours was the last of the year. End on a high note. So it was so much time on the road this year. And I mean, on some level, like that, it was hard, but proud of that. That's how, when you're in early stage, that's how you meet people. That's how you get to know what's going on in the industry. And so that was huge. And just really proud of the work that the team did in the background while I was on the road this much this year. It's yeah.
Let's shift over there. Let's shift over to Lexamica. A little of the backstory. How, why, how did this come to be?
Sure. Yeah. Look, I was running a law firm, CFO, COO for a number of years in the plaintiff side, employment law. So we were taking employment calls from all over the country, and a lot of those were being forwarded to us, referred to us by other law firms that were doing more broad advertising, but they would still get employment calls. So very much part of what our workflow was we would take a call from another firm, we would ingest it, we would litigate it, we'd pay a referral fee on that. That's common across the whole industry. And so it was a horrible experience to take those, to track those, to have transparency with our partners. And so we just started building a tool in-house for that and realized that this was way bigger than just something that we needed ourselves. And so started to turn that into a product and get that in the hands of other law firms. And it really just took off.
And we're not talking about like small dollars that this process is manual for. We're talking about like billions of dollars. I mean, a pretty big number, correct?
Huge, huge. This is a huge part of the personal injury industry, which is $50 billion market.
Yeah.
Upwards of 20% of cases have co-counsel, which means that there's fee sharing happening on those cases. It's a massive market.
Yeah, that is pretty awesome. And so when did you get this started, and help me understand the size, shape, how many folks you're working with now, the amount of cases going through your system, that type of stuff.
We started working on it mid 22 as a concept prototype while I was still at the law firm, but full time moved over at the beginning of 23 to build the product and test it externally. Launched it in October of last year, and since then we've brought on about 70 law firms that are using Lexamica to manage all of their outbound referrals. Over 20,000 cases have been referred out using Lexamica, which represents tens or potentially hundreds of millions of dollars of case value, because each of these cases, a medical malpractice case, can be easily worth $500,000 and we have hundreds of cases that are moving through Lexamica every week, and so it's a very significant pipeline of these referrals, and a lot of them wouldn't happen otherwise. It's fascinating. Every time we add a new law firm, I always look to see what's the first partner that they connect with on the Lexamica platform, and I can never predict it. It's somebody that I would never have expected them to refer a case to, but because Lexamica does the matching, helps them find a good partner, it's almost always unexpected, which means that they're getting value almost immediately.
That's yeah, I'm curious, like only because you started it relatively recently. What learnings, like things you like learned along the way, things you were not expecting, anything like jump out at you? Or is this pretty much, I mean, because you were doing this in a quasi-manual way prior to?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm smiling because I think the things that I've learned along the road are things that a lot of people have learned along the way, which is to stay as lightweight as you can, to test things manually before you start to build them, to iterate as fast as you can, because a lot of the times the things that I think are, oh, in my experience, this is what everyone should use. It turns out that it's not that. It's actually the thing, we ship something, and then the feature that becomes critical is the thing that we just put in at the last minute because somebody made a request. So I love it because there's this element of creativity and of learning as you're doing, and the iterative process has just been a real joy.
Is the market receptive? Not receptive? Like how? I mean, those are some spectacular numbers for a company that's directionally not even 2 years old yet.
Yeah, the market's been incredibly receptive. It's massive. Every plaintiff firm in the country does referrals. They either refer cases out or they take referrals in, and it's not a good. It's sticky notes, spreadsheets, and emails. So anyone who's spending marketing dollars knows that they're throwing money down the drain. There's just not been a way to capture that value.
Gotcha. What I'm guessing like you guys are in and around the law firm's revenue. There's probably lots of different directions you go. If you would like zoom out, what does the world look like in 5 years? How does Lexamica fit into it?
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways, right? So the referral process itself has a lot of gaps in it, and ultimately there needs to be an ecosystem to make it easier and better to refer cases. We've developed a great workflow process, but there's additional ways to help law firms through financing, through intake, operationalizing around the referral exchange. But also, every lawyer in America has friends and a family and a network, and they need to be able to refer cases. So eventually, it becomes like Lexamica's on every lawyer's phone, and it's a way to have that network so that when you get a call, you're matching that to the best attorney possible without a fear of that attorney is going to run away with the client and never pay you, but rather knowing that your friend, your family, your network member is going to get great representation and you'll be paid the referral fee that you should get.
Now, how much? There's lots of other software in and around this, like nothing focusing on the actual referral. But I'm just curious, like, are you guys integration heavy? How do you think about that world?
Yeah, integration is really important, especially for the larger firms that have call centers that are handling their inbound claims, because those people need to live where they are, and then the
Yeah.
referral function becomes a back end workflow process where those disqualified leads get referred out, and there's a referral manager who's really the bottleneck for that inside of the law firm. And so, yeah, very very integrated with Litify, Filevine, Lead Docket, other case management systems that support personal injury and contingency law practices, because they want to do their day-to-day job over here, and then they need this add-on to manage their outsourced cases.
Gotcha. You guys have a podcast, correct?
Yes, the Relay.
What tell me about it. What have you? When did you start it up? What have you learned from it?
Yeah, I think I started 3 or 4 months ago. Like, there's so many podcasts out there that are just lawyers talking to other lawyers and kind of like, what's your biggest trial verdict? There's not really a podcast out there that's aimed at the COO, the managing internal person at a law firm who's trying to figure out, like, what the heck am I doing? There's all this technology coming at me. AI, am I supposed to use that? How do I build out a tech platform? How do I manage my firm well? So it's geared toward that person who's trying to figure out, like, how do I build a great business inside of this law firm, a personal injury or contingency practice. The rate of change this year, I asked Bob Ambrogi at your conference, I said, well, what stood out about this year? And he said there's just been more activity in the legal tech space this year than any year he's been a journalist, and he's been doing this for 30 plus years. And so I think more than ever, there's a real need for an understanding of, like, what should I use and how to adopt, because you can't adopt it all at the same time.
That makes sense. Maybe, like, as you're starting to plan for next year, what do you got on your horizon? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the thing that excites me is the idea that now that we have a platform that is working, that we can continue to optimize and increase the match rate. Like, my background was in nonprofit, where there's a real social element to what Lexamica is doing, which is making sure that more Americans who need legal services get matched to the best attorney for that claim. They're picking up the phone and they're calling law firms every day, and they're getting turned away. And our ability moving into this next year to help more of those people who've picked up the phone and done the scary part, which is call a lawyer, end up getting legal help, that's super exciting. So it's all about product development, adding new verticals, adding new case types to our platform, bringing on more lawyers who are eager to help people, especially the niche ones where you may have a practice that no one knows about. I met this guy who all he does is trampoline park injuries all over the country. And that's his whole practice. Like, that's amazing, but you really need a platform where you can build that practice. Otherwise, it's not cost effective to get the word out, and we can help with that.
Yeah, it's almost a discovery engine. In my keynote, at the event, I used an example of skilaw.com. Like, the construct of all these guys do is just ski law. We've seen it for fish law, for horse law. It's like fascinating niches. And I think these are actually some of the future law firms. I think, like, vertical focus law firms, they're the ones that can put technology behind them and do, because they see the same thing over and over and over again. And then, if they have a way to get distribution through somebody like you guys, it's kind of a good 1-2 combination.
Absolutely.
You mentioned being with us last week. What was the highlight of the event for you?
Well, I'm not trying to pat you on the back, but your opening presentation was fantastic. Very, very tight. Love the opening, love the energy, love the broader focus, kind of looking at the industry as a whole. It's the place where legal tech founders, CEOs, and investors are mingling and exchanging ideas. Like, if you want to learn what's happening in legal tech and talk to the people that are building it and investing in it, that's the event for me. So last year we were kind of newer to the legal tech space, just starting to meet people. This year, so many good conversations. But I went to so many conferences this year. This is a one of one in the space. If you want to know what's happening, this is it.
Awesome. On that note, if there are folks that want to know what's happening with you, how can they learn more about you? How can they learn more about Lexamica? What are the best ways?
Yeah, we're excited. We're building, we're growing quickly. We would love to, the weirder your practice, the better, or the bigger your marketing, the better. If you're turning clients away, you shouldn't have to do that anymore. Lexamica.com, Gabriel at Lexamica.com. I'm excited. We're just scratching the surface of this. Like, this is something that we're going to look back on and say, like, how could this not have existed before? I mean, to your, like, look, doctors, there's GPs and then there's specialists. That's how the legal industry should be. You've got law firms that know how to reach potential clients, make the phone ring. And then behind that, you need ski law, you need horse law, you need trampoline park injury lawyers to back that up. But those don't all need to be in the same house. So come on, it's really fun.
No, it's like you're enabling the unbundling. Like, if there's a trend towards the big law firms, the future trend may be towards smaller, which all comes together on your platform. Can't thank you enough for spending a few minutes with us and telling the story. Thank you. Have an amazing holiday season, and looking forward to seeing you very soon.
Thanks. Same to you, Zach.
Thanks, everybody.